Hey guys, here we are again, Pejman Gadimi, Joseph Martin, on another episode of The Universal Truth. We are talking today again about a really weird and interesting topic. And today we're going to talk a little bit about why people don't find success despite working hard. I'm sure everybody knows a guy that works day in and day out like a slave and just doesn't seem to be hitting the mark regardless of how hard they work. And I hate it because I'm guilty of this too. And I'm guilty of it in one way. I call people lazy all the time, right? My license plate on my Porsche is like, he's like, yeah, you call me lazy. Like, I've insulted this guy like 700 times. But so basically, like the point is, I'm always telling people they're lazy, they don't work hard enough, they don't do this. And reality is, they often misunderstand that and they go, dude, I'm working 600 hours a month, I'm not getting anywhere, and you're calling me lazy. I don't think you know what it's like to be a dad, have this job, have a second job, and still not make ends meet the way I need to. So apparently, this has been happening a lot, and a lot of people say, well, you're wrong calling people lazy. So let's have a discussion about, really what it takes to find success, because why do most people fail in finding success despite working hard? What do you think? Because you think you work hard, and I think you're lazy as shit.
I don't think I work hard.
Oh, you don't think you work hard?
No.
All right, there you have it. You see, on video, JT's saying he doesn't work hard.
I think in my field, I don't think it's a work hard thing. I think it's like I'm a creative. Like I only spend so much time on.
But you own that business.
Makes me so much amount of money. So it's like, well, first of all, I would say that success, like you say, is your definition of success. So like, my definition of success is different than somebody else's.
So what is your definition of success? Tell people.
I have no fucking clue.
So you don't know how to be successful?
I do know my definition of success, but it's always changing. It's like a destination thing that you talk about too. It's like once I got to where I am now, I visioned it back in the day. I got here. Now it's a different.
Right, but what do you consider? Like when do you say it? Like for example, if we say, "Are you a millionaire?" Right? I can say, "Listen, on this date, I had $1 million in asset. On this date, I had $1 million in cash."
When I have enough passive income coming in every single year to be able to do whatever I want, travel wherever I want, buy whatever I want, however much money that is, that's when I'm successful.
Okay, so isn't that extremely vague when you don't know what you want?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to have like a clear vision of like
so why didn't you have one?
Because I haven't developed it yet. I'm still.
But like, so I guess maybe this is more the conversation here. It's not really like why people don't find success.
Yeah, I don't think they don't find success. I think it's because they don't know what they really want.
But then you're a millennial, right?
Yeah.
When were you born? What year?
97.
Okay, 97. I used to date a chick that was born 96.
Great,
that young. I like him young. Sorry. Anyways, off topic.
It's like illegal. No,
yeah, I know. No, that's not illegal. She was like 20 years old. Yeah. So let's talk about for a second. Let's talk about why don't you have a sense of urgency? Maybe that's a better question. Because like look, you're young.
Yeah.
You have decent parents. You don't come from a poor family that's like on the floor, meaning like where you're like all sitting looking for food.
Yeah.
So you have intelligent. I've met your dad and your mom. They're intelligent people. They're very outgoing. They don't seem to be like, JT, you better do this or you're out, right? Like he gives you choices and nice parents. Yeah. You've always had freedom. Like you've always had support, freedom, and you have a creative talent. Mm-hmm. Like you seem to have all the ingredients for really pushing for a very successful life. Not saying tomorrow morning, but at least pushing for it all the time. So the question is, what is lacking that makes you believe? Like when you said, I haven't developed it yet, I'm like sitting here like why are you okay saying that? Like why is that like you're saying it with such like ease, and no shame.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but like why? I'm just curious. Like why are you okay with that?
I think because not too long ago, I was always focused on like material things. Mm-hmm. Like once I have this car, I'll be successful. Once I have this house, and once I have this amount of money, I'll be successful. And then I started to realize that even when I got the things that I wanted, mm-hmm. it wasn't really making me like actually happy. So I started to read into different things. I got off of like psychology and I got deeper into like spiritual stuff.
Okay.
And that's when I started to realize that I had a lot of work to do like internally. And the more
fair enough. That's a fair statement. Yeah.
So and it wasn't business stuff. It wasn't mindset mm-hmm. stuff. It was spiritual stuff. Like actually being happy with yourself.
Okay.
And accepting yourself for who you are and not letting your ego control your life. Like I started to focus more on that, and the more I've done that, the happier I've gotten. and the more like success I've seen because
But
of it.
is the role of, well, I guess then this brings the argument, is the role of a human being's life to be happy? Like you said, I've got more happy with it as if your happiness was the goal.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you don't try to be successful to not be happy.
No, actually, that's not even why I try to be
That's what
successful.
I'm saying. I mean, for me, like, I guess to each his own. But like, I'm not trying to be successful.
But is your,
to
so
be
you're,
successful.
so,
like, I want to be happy.
but I
always
feel
wanna be
like this
peaceful.
goes back to the conversation we had about government too and voting. Like the whole idea is like, again, self-centered, isn't it?
Yeah,
Selfish?
For sure. But
So
I
why
mean,
are you so selfish then? I'm being honest. Like,
'cause
why
I
are
think
you so
have to
selfish?
Be selfish before you can give. I think you.
Yeah,
have
but
to
I
take-
don't- but-
like, if you're lacking something, you can't take care of somebody else until.
But that's
you're
the
not
different.
lacking
So that's different. I'm not saying I agree with you 100%. I don't think anybody should be out there coaching people, helping people when they haven't helped themselves. Agreed. Not even a debate. But we're talking about like when I say you're being selfish, I'm saying why can't you see life past yourself? I'm not saying why are you giving or not giving to people first or helping
Right.
people. That's not what I mean.
So
I'm saying why can't you see life's purpose above and beyond yourself? Like I've always believed that life is not about happiness. It's about meaning. We give our life as human beings meaning. When we learn to give that life meaning, we will find happiness in the meaning we've created out of our life.
Right.
That's very different than saying
But
I'm happy.
See, I think the meaning's already there. I don't think you have to. Like, I think it's already there. The happiness is already there. The confidence is already there. You just have to tap into it. 'Cause
Well, no,
everybody's,
I
like,
agree
searching,
that. Well,
dude,
I
it's
agree
all
that. Well,
external.
it's like
Everybody's
saying
looking-
we have 4 arms, 2 arms, 2 legs.
Yeah.
We can all run fast. We just have to practice to run fast. It's within us to run
That's
fast.
what I'm saying. Like, I used to go from. I think a lot of people view success as external.
Well, no,
I
but
view
yeah,
success
but
now
I do
from
too.
internally.
No, I agree with that. But I think you're the one right now, on camera right now, saying that you're linking success to money and you're separating yourself from money to find success elsewhere.
I'm not saying success doesn't have anything to do with money. I'm saying that I feel like most people find success in material things and like they look for it externally. When I'm saying I switched to being like internal, like my success.
So,
is based
but that's
on
my argument.
peace, my
so,
happiness.
so why
like,
is it one or the other?
what do you mean?
Is it like, look, making money?
Well, I'm sure it's the whole.
But let's talk about a lot of money.
Like,
Let's
yeah,
just
alright.
talk about having a lot of money, like a lot of money, right? Let's say making $100 million.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
there's
mean,
a lot of
who
money,
do- Yeah,
right?
who doesn't
Okay.
want to be a millionaire? Like,
Well,
I
yeah,
do.
yeah, but let's talk about that. Okay, so you do, to some extent, right?
But I think you have to be the person that you are.
Yes, to
completely
become that person.
that person. So it's like I'm working internal.
But becoming really rich is a byproduct of bringing your talent in the world and finding a way to get people to pay you for that talent.
Right.
Regardless if that's marketing, creativity, taking photo, whatever that is, right?
Okay.
Now, in that process of expanding your talents into becoming this extraordinary talented person that is worth $100 million, however way you want to look at that, that gives you the character that you built. That gives you that internal feed. It doesn't mean your life has to stop or has to be about making that 100 million only.
Right.
It doesn't even mean you have to use the 100 million and go do humanitarian work and be Mother Teresa's cousin to be successful, and feel good internally or help people. But what I'm saying is, why don't you have a sense of urgency in mastering your craft? Because my argument is that when you're good at something now, and I think, just for the record, I give him shit every day. He's extremely disorganized, but he's a very talented person. Like, he has extreme creative talent. And I like him as a person. My argument with JT has, for the last, 4 years I've known you? 2 years, has always been that he doesn't take his art seriously. He doesn't take his craft seriously. He looks at it as a service he's providing.
Yeah.
He doesn't look at it as art.
I know why that is though, and I figured that out.
So why is
it? Because you don't. You can only take your craft as seriously as you take yourself. And I
Correct.
wasn't taking myself seriously. I wasn't happy with myself. I was insecure. I was fat. Until I.
You weren't that fat. You were chunky.
I know, but
Chubby.
that was my insecurity. I felt that insecurity day in and day out. Everywhere I went, I felt that insecurity, and it played a part in my craft too. So I'm I wasn't ready as a person to this is what I'm saying. You're saying build it to 100 million and then that'll give you the character. I feel like you have to be the person before you become the person.
No, you become the person through the craft. You can't. It's like saying.
To me, it's like you have to be the person first.
But it's impossible. But think about it. Think about like all the people that say I'm going to start a business and I'm waiting for all the stars to align. That's the same argument. You're saying until I become this, and that, then that's when I'm going to be in that position to become that person.
What religion or what spiritual belief do you believe in? Like, do you have
So
a specific,
I don't believe in any religion,
No, me neither.
because I think religion is a huge form of control.
For sure.
Like a huge, in
I
a good
don't
way.
like
In a
it.
good way. I don't look at it in a bad way. Like people think I'm like all anti this and that.
Yeah.
I'm all for control mechanisms that help give people structure, because they're too stupid to know what structure. I'm being honest.
No, it's
After coaching like 30,000 plus people, I can tell you like the majority of people are pretty. They need the structure.
They need it,
Yeah, and they get offended when I call them stupid, but reality is you have to look in a mirror and know you're stupid to change, and to be educated. And education does not mean formal education. We've had topics on this. So basically, my belief is that the entire universe is not positive and negative, good energy, bad energy, but is a flow of energy. Yeah. So I talk about this in my book, Third Circle Theory, the 3 circles of life, but each circle is a flow. It has no beginning and no ending. Yeah. It's a continuous pull from...
Taoism? Yin and yang, like,
yes and no. Yes and no.
Bad,
no, yes and no. I do believe in balance, and I believe in the flow of just the flow of energy being shifted from one place to another. And when I say, I'm careful not to say forward and backwards, because then someone listening is going to say, well, that's negative, positive. So what I'm saying is, I think there's a flow of energy happening in the world. And I think every human being is capable of expanding and contracting that energy as a human, like tapping into that energy and pulling back from it, one way or another, connecting to it or leaving it, right? So I think every human being can do that, but I think until people realize how to become the person to do that and to be in a position to do that, they also have a fake delusion of being able to do that. Does that make sense? Like a lot of people are like, I'm spiritual. So like, I'm connected. I'm like, okay, and you've done nothing in your life, The other thing that I also believe is that it's very easy to hide behind religion or spirituality without comprehending that you are still the core of that process, no matter what. Right. And I think a lot of people say, oh, something incredible happened to me. God is great. Now, I'm not saying there is no flow of energy that has helped make something happen for you. And if you want to call that God, then, that's fantastic. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that you had to do something to expand or contract that energy. And what I'm saying is I think too many people rely on that external factor to hide behind what they don't like, to say, oh, there must be a reason this happened to me,
Right. I understand what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
I get the whole, you're hiding behind it, but at the same time, we should probably save spirituality for, another...
I mean, we can have a conversation.
That's something you can get really deep into, and it's all based on beliefs. So it's
which everybody has a different belief, which is okay,
So and whatever works for me works for me. Whatever works for you works for you.
Until it doesn't, and this is the argument here. What I'm trying to say is that this is we're going to bring it back on topic. What you just said is exactly the problem. You just said right now that what works for me works for me.
Yeah.
But what if I had been through what is working for you now? And I can promise you that what works for you now is not going to work for you in 10 years.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say, I guess, as a friend, mentor, when I get on your case and I'm like, look, why aren't you doing this shit? This is not okay. Is that I have witnessed this so many times, and you are not special in that way. Right. You're a human being, and you have the same characteristics as the previous people who have made the same mistakes. Yeah. The same way you said in our other video, history repeats itself, man. We've seen this again and again in the education system. They're doing the same crap now, right?
Yeah.
And so this is the problem, is that I see your trajectory because I've lived it. And I've seen people with extreme talent in photography, videography, in art, in everything. And they didn't seize the moment where the moment was there for them. And then guess what happens? Life happens.
Yeah.
They go, well, listen, I had to do this first. I wanted to enjoy my 20s. I'm in my 30s. I'm ready to grind. Then the playing field has changed.
Right.
No one's hiring photographers. So
but I don't want to be a photographer.
No. But I'm using that as an example. I'm not saying your life choices are fine. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that you don't have something better right now. And that's my argument.
I think I do.
But what is it?
I mean...
What is it that you do right now that doesn't require a camera that's better than what you do?
I mean, right now, nothing...
My point.
Yeah, but I'm saying I know that like this isn't my.
But it doesn't have to be. But this is my exact argument with you. I was a car wash guy. I didn't think I was going to be a car wash guy for 50 years.
Right.
I washed cars for $5 better than anybody that washed them for 50. I was a banker. I didn't think I was going to be a banker for 50 years. I didn't even think I was going to be a banker for 20.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm lucky if I survive here 10 years, you know? But I became the best banker that bank had ever seen. What I'm trying to tell you is exactly that. Your crap, like, how did I move from one position to another, to a business, to this? When I was young, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. I didn't know, like, hey,
that's
I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to teach people.
I feel like I'm literally in the middle of a transition right now.
But you're not.
How do you know that?
Because you haven't taken the step. So what I'm trying to say is...
I feel like I have. That's what I'm saying.
Well, what is the step? I just asked you. You said you don't know.
I'm not 100% sure it's in the works.
But it's not in the works.
This is a spirituality thing. No, it is in the works. I don't like talking about it. Like,
but why talk about it
until I've done it? No.
Yeah, but what I'm
when
okay.
you put your goal, like I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you put it out.
All right, but look, it's like the guy that says, well, okay, but it's the same argument that someone will make when they hate their job.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't hate.
No, I'm saying, imagine a guy hates his job. He works at the supermarket.
For sure.
He goes, I hate working here. My boss is an asshole. I don't want to work here. It's horrible, right? And you go to them and you go, well, why don't you quit? Oh, no, I need money, so I need to work here, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, but you're here now. Yeah, but you're not trying hard here. Yeah, because I'm not going to work here forever, right?
No, I see what you're saying.
Like what I'm not arguing that guy's going to be a cashier forever. Maybe he's right and everything else.
You're saying be the best cashier that you could be while you're there.
While you're there, even if you are going to quit in a month, even if you have that plan in your head, even if every day you're applying, you are spending time there, being paid by someone who is exchanging a wage for your work. Why are you not being the best at what you do? So my argument is this: if you have another project, which I hope you do, something big that's going to make you very successful, great. I'm not pushing you got to stay a photographer for 12 years, you know? I mean, there are other photographers. He's going to get replaced. So, and you see how we treat each other?
I'm okay with
it. But basically what I'm trying to say is while you have your camera and while that other thing is not done or in place, you still have the opportunity to build even more character for yourself, more opportunities, and more growth by continuing to be the best photographer and delivering on what you're great at. Because what you may not realize is the last client you'll ever shoot for, regardless that it's me or somebody else, may become the greatest advocate to your next project.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Right? And if they don't engage with who JT could be, if they don't see your character in that shoot because you're like, fuck, I hate this, and I'm doing this because this is what I have to do now to continue and transition to the next thing, you're going to miss that chance. Yeah. The same way that cashier is going to just put shit in a bag and be like, here you go, sir, have a good day. Instead of have a great attitude, and suddenly that guy that's getting his groceries like, oh shit, how long have you worked there? 10 years. Oh my God, well listen, I love someone enthusiastic, come work for me. And it might be like, well, I already had a job lined up.
So my argument with that would be like, well, not an argument, but I feel like I've done pretty well as a photographer.
From the talent standpoint, yes, not from a business standpoint. That's where we disagree.
Yeah, all right. But still, I've seen so many. I've gotten so many opportunities from working with the clients that I've worked with, to the point where like other opportunities have opened that have nothing to do with filmmaking and photography. And it's like everything is just like aligning, right?
Okay.
But I still do filmmaking, I still do photography, I still do promo videos, I still work with a lot of clients, I still get paid some good money.
Well, but that's survivalship, right? Because if you don't, then
I enjoy it.
Well, but what do you do?
I do my best while I'm there. I create shit. They love it. They're like, man, this is
But you're not
work.
growing your business into it.
Because that's not. I don't want to grow. I don't want to grow the photography and videography side anymore.
Okay, so the question becomes, why not continue while you're trying to figure the next thing out? And
well, I mean, I'm still
build a business. No, but I mean, and build a business in place that can function without you.
Right.
I mean, look, I wanted to take a transition from. I owned an investment bank that focused on putting people into alternative assets. I said, I don't want my life to be this in 30 years. Same change of heart.
Yeah.
But I still went and said, I'm going to hire a CEO, pay him $500,000 a year, put him in control of my company to continue growing it. Yeah. While I go become that other person. And I worked twice as hard on 2 companies to be able to support, my transition and my new endeavor, which took 5 years to even materialize into anything. And people said, well, wait a minute, why are you doing this? You're making $80 million a year here, and you're now starting a business with zero? I'm like, yeah. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, who does that? Like, who gives that up? And you could say, well, that's the same argument you're having now. You're like, I have a great business. I'm going to give it up to go do this other thing. But the difference is I didn't disvalue what the building on this side was in order to go take the other side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And what I'm saying is that your character and your skill and talent will eventually expire.
Right.
And if it's not upkept, and if it's not grown, you're only going to put yourself in a position where, because most people in their 20s say, oh, I'm going to work, chill, and then, you know, like just take things my pace, enjoy my life. But what they don't realize is there is no such thing as 20s, 30s, 40s. There's a continuity of life.
Right. Yeah.
And life happens, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. Maybe in 3 years you get your girlfriend pregnant, right? And you think like it's cool, but then that pressure comes in.
Yeah.
And you go, shit, this project I wanted was requiring me to travel to Asia for like 6 months, and I can't do that now.
Yeah.
So my projects are completely on hold. And now you're like, oh, I got to go reinvent myself again and re-pick up this stuff. And by then, everything's changed again, and you haven't touched base. So what I'm saying is life happens, and I think too many people completely ignore the fact that without a sense of urgency to get to a certain level, they're always going to stay in that level. You see, I've always believed when I was poor that the middle class is the trap. One of my favorite lines was always like, the greatest enemy to a great life is a good life. Because I felt like comfort became where you didn't push as hard. You know, you got there and you're like, well, I have a car, I have a nice house.
That's true.
I don't really need to go, who needs 100 million when you have 10 million?
That's where the sense of urgency thing comes in. That
Right.
You're talking about.
Yeah.
You're like, how come you don't have a sense of urgency? It's because it's like,
You're comfortable.
I'm comfortable.
But
In some cases.
But
in
you
some
haven't
cases.
seen discomfort yet, and that's the problem. You see,
I
like,
have.
well, have you really?
Yeah.
You've been on the street.
No.
Okay. You've
I've
seen a
I've
false
seen-
sense of discomfort.
I mean, okay.
And also the other thing, just to not be selfish, again, you've seen discomfort as it pertains to you.
Right. Yeah.
Not discomfort as it pertains to your child or someone you're responsible for,
Yeah.
that you can't provide for.
Right. I agree.
And I think that's a big thing. Maybe for me growing up, I had my mom, you know, which was always under my wing. So it was like, if I don't do something, she's going to struggle. So, but I'm saying you've never had, like me and you might be cool if we said, look, we're poor, we're going to sleep in a car for the night.
Yeah.
We're like, whatever, you know, we'll figure it out the next day, right? But you're not going to feel that way if you had a child with you that had to sleep in that car.
Yeah, probably not.
Do you understand what I mean? Or if you have your girlfriend and you're like, listen, we got to give up the apartment and go like live in my car for a week. Like that would not be okay in your head. And I'm not talking about like the comfortable place of the car or the cold or anything. I'm talking about like the mental state you have to go in when, you know, that confidence you talk about, like how that gets shredded to shit when you're like, I'm not even good enough
Yeah.
to put a roof over your head. We got to go sleep in a car because I've made bad decisions. Yeah. So what I'm saying is don't do something that allows the universe to push you back down to that place. Work fast enough to be in a place where even if you get pushed down, you're only back at the top of the week. You know, you're not back at the bottom. Yeah. So many people save money. I'm sure you've saved money in your savings account. What happened the other day? Your car broke down and you were like fucking $2,000. You know, you had put that money aside, right? Yeah, and then suddenly, boom, it's gone. Yeah. Isn't it? Like you're like, hey, I was counting on this. I was going to buy new equipment. I was going to do this. I was going on vacation, and then finished. Yeah. What happened if you didn't have that savings?
You're fucked.
You didn't even have a car.
Yeah.
You can't even function.
Yeah.
Correct? So try to think about that. Now, what happens if 2 of these happen in a row and you don't have savings? So what I'm trying to say is that what if you had $600,000 in savings and your car broke and your car cost $20,000?
You're fine.
Just buy another one.
Yeah.
The continuity doesn't stop, right? Like the universe doesn't stop you anymore. You're just like,
yeah,
move on. I'll make another $600,000. It's okay. You know, like I'll lose 20. I'll make 600. But what I'm trying to say is people watching right now save money. And every time they save money, something happens and it kicks them down to the floor. It's because as soon as they have money, they get comfortable. They don't keep stacking bills more and more. Get it? Because they're like, oh, I have $5,000. $5,000 is great. I never had an emergency. They never stack. Yeah. Because they don't stack, because they're like, oh, I'm comfortable. I'm going to go on vacation now. They just carry on. And it's a cycle. And you just stay poor. That's why you keep going from the bottom, from poverty to the middle. You stay at the bottom middle, and you keep getting kicked down to poverty. What I'm saying is anyone watching this should be young enough to work their asses off to get past that stage, because there's so many factors that you don't control. We talked about government earlier. Government does a great job at stretching climates for the middle class. You know, anytime a Republican's in office, that middle class gets stretched even more. So it gets way harder to go from the bottom of the middle class to the top of the, like, you could say, well, in a regular democracy, I would be rich by the time I hit 400K a year. But in this democracy, now I'm like, I need to make 900K a year, and I don't have a way to make 900K a year with my job. So I need 3 jobs, 2 companies, and this. It's impossible for me to do it. So they force people into these, like, staying in that class. You know, like the wealthier gets wealthier, the poorer get poorer. But what I'm saying is those things aren't in our control, right? You don't even vote, so you don't even have a vote. But I'm saying they're not in your control or mine. Maybe those things we don't decide, right? So what I'm saying is when that's stretching and it's out of your hands, you need to be working fast enough so while the pile is like this, you're like boom, 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 over. Not like I'm stuck here so it's stretched and I'm still poor. Yeah. And those are the things that I think you don't have an urgency for. That's why I always get on your ass for, like, if you don't do that, then you turn into a huge problem.
I guess it's when you don't see it, like, making enough of an impact. It's like you kind of cap out. Right?
Everybody does.
Like,
of course,
you
everybody
get to a point
does.
where you're like, okay, this is my reality. This is as much as I'm going to make a month from this thing, and my goals and my expectations in my life
I agree
are
with you.
not met by this.
But I agree
so
with
you
you.
start looking for other things, and you're
But
like,
it's not true. But you see, that's where the mistake is. You told me you look internally first, right?
Yeah.
Well, then look internally to
no,
this
well,
is
that's
where
what
I'm stuck.
that's what
Yeah,
I'm
but
doing.
this is
That's
where
what-
I'm
That's
stuck.
what's changed.
Yeah, but if you're stuck here,
Yeah.
then the first thing you need to look at is not change yourself. Is to
No,
first
it's not changing myself. It's finding myself.
even before that, you have to look at a business as black and white.
Yeah.
You're making X amount of money with doing X amount of work. You got to figure out how to get better organized, hire people, get into that fear spectrum of, like, I have to hire people. Maybe I'm responsible for people. I have to pay money. You know, I have to put myself in that place so I can scale a business.
I guess it's like not knowing whether that's the business that you want to grow or not.
But so what? Grow it. Worst case scenario, what happens? You made a ton of money. You chose
Or
5
you
years
put
from
a
now.
bunch of energy and money into something that you never really wanted to grow in the first place.
And
so
it
you gave
still
up on it.
built you the character you needed to go to the next phase. And that's my argument. I agree with you. Nobody maybe know right from the beginning this is a business. Like, you know how many people come to me and they go, I'm not starting that business because it's not scalable. And I go, how many sales have you made? They're like, oh, I haven't even started. Then why are you worried about it? It can't make $10 million when you haven't even made $10,000 in it. And they go, well, if it's not going to go there, then why would I start it? Well, because by the time you start, it's not going to go there anyways. Like, it's going to have so much time, and the industry is changing. You can't have, and this is my argument again to what we were talking about earlier, you can't have a perfect plan where everything is like laid out and be like, well, as long as this happens, then this is the way it's going to happen, and this is my road there. Because that's not how that works. That's not how any of this shit works, right? Like, life, you're not planning to get your girl pregnant, but like 3 years later, you're like, boom, there's a baby. You're like, well, that was supposed to be a 10-year plan. Well, your whole plan went to shit.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, like, that doesn't, like, work that way. Like, so the same way that you can't sit there and be like, well, I'm going to find myself internally first, and this is who I need to become, and then I'm going to, like, bam, go down. And it's like the same argument that when you're at the gym. You go to the gym, you recently started working out, and more so, right? You can't go to the gym and be like, unless all the machines are free right now, and this is going to be the order I hit them in this exact angle with this clock, I'm not going to work out. You know, I'll come back tomorrow and do it. I'll come back tomorrow and do it. And eventually you start realizing that maybe I just need to be adaptable. Maybe I just need to hit the first machine and see how I feel, hit the second machine. But as long as I don't give up on the goal, then I can get there. You know, I can get to the last machine, even if I had to switch which machine came first. Even ideally, I wanted that machine, but that was taken. So I had to go here and then come back here. Yeah. And I think people are so set in their ways that they forget that life is not about hard work and over repetition. It's about the constant capacity to adapt day in and day out, to change as fast as possible with the least amount of emotional reaction, to be able to create value, meaning, which leads to happiness. So there you have it, guys. Another universal truth. Hopefully you found it helpful. Again, a big thank you to JT for joining me today on this call. And again, for those of you, if you agree, disagree, I know these kind of get off topics, that's the point. Hit me in the comments below. Hit a like, hit a dislike, it's okay. Haters are welcome too. Just if you love us, like us. If you hate us, well, like us anyways.
Hate us.
Yeah, and add comments, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one for another Secret Entourage video. Take care.